Tariffs are taxes. They're placed on goods imported from other countries. Governments use tariffs to protect their own industries. They can also use them to raise revenue. Tariffs affect the prices of goods. They can lead to trade wars between countries. Tariffs are a complex issue. They have been used for centuries. Understanding tariffs is important for understanding global trade. They have a direct impact on consumers and businesses alike. The impact of tariffs is debated by economists. Some argue they protect domestic jobs, others believe they harm consumers with higher prices. The use of tariffs continues to be a controversial topic in international trade. Tariffs have a long and contentious history. One famous example is the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. This act imposed heavy tariffs on thousands of imports to the United States. It was meant to protect American jobs during the Great Depression. However, the Smoot-Hawley Act had unintended consequences. Other countries retaliated with their own tariffs. Global trade plummeted. The Great Depression worsened. This example demonstrates the potential dangers of protectionist trade policies. Throughout history, tariffs have been used for various reasons. Sometimes they are a source of government revenue. Other times they are a tool to influence other countries. Their use has often been met with mixed results. The historical record shows that tariffs can be a double-edged sword. They can offer short-term benefits to certain industries. However, they often lead to higher prices for consumers and retaliatory measures from trading partners. The Trump administration implemented a series of tariffs. These tariffs were primarily aimed at China. The stated goal was to reduce the trade deficit and protect American jobs. The administration argued that unfair trade practices by China were harming American businesses and workers. The Trump tariffs targeted a wide range of goods. These included steel, aluminum, and electronics. The tariffs were met with retaliation from China. China imposed its own tariffs on American goods. The Trump administration's tariff strategy was controversial. Supporters argued that it was necessary to protect American interests. Critics argued that it would harm the economy and lead to a trade war. The tariffs were a key part of Trump's America First agenda. This agenda prioritized American economic interests over global cooperation. The long-term impacts of this approach are still being debated by economists and policymakers. The Trump tariffs were implemented in stages. The first round of tariffs was imposed in 2018. These tariffs targeted solar panels and washing machines. This was followed by tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from several countries, including Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. In 2019, the Trump administration escalated the trade war with China. The US imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. China retaliated with tariffs of its own. This back and forth led to uncertainty in global markets. In early 2025, the Trump administration announced further tariffs on almost all products from nearly every country. This dramatic escalation sent shockwaves through global markets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average experienced its sharpest drop in years. These sweeping tariffs were met with swift condemnation from business leaders and many politicians, even within Trump's own party. The administration quickly backpedaled, announcing a 90-day pause on most of the new tariffs, but the damage was done. The world was on high alert, watching for what Trump might do next. Section 5. Economic shockwaves, impacts across sectors. The Trump tariffs had a ripple effect across the US economy. Industries that rely heavily on imports were hit particularly hard. Manufacturers, for example, faced higher costs for raw materials like steel and aluminum. This led to higher prices for consumers and, in some cases, job losses. The tariffs also impacted the agricultural sector. China, a major importer of American soybeans, imposed retaliatory tariffs on these products. This hurt American farmers who rely on exports to China. The Trump administration provided billions of dollars in aid to farmers affected by the trade war. The tariffs also contributed to uncertainty in the stock market. Companies with global supply chains were particularly vulnerable. The volatility in the market reflected the concerns of investors about the potential long-term impacts of the trade war. Despite the administration's claims that the tariffs would benefit American workers, many economists argued that the opposite was true. They pointed to job losses in manufacturing and agriculture, as well as higher prices for consumers, as evidence that the tariffs were actually hurting the American economy. Section 6. Political battleground, domestic and global responses. The Trump tariffs ignited a political firestorm both domestically and internationally. Democrats were largely critical of the tariffs, arguing they would harm American workers and consumers. Some Republicans also expressed concerns, particularly those representing agricultural districts. Internationally, the tariffs were met with widespread condemnation. The European Union, Canada, and Mexico all imposed retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. The World Trade Organization, or WTO, ruled against the U.S. in several cases, finding that the tariffs violated international trade rules. The tariffs strained relationships with key allies. The European Union, for example, threatened further retaliation if the US did not back down. Canada, a close trading partner, was particularly angered by the tariffs on steel and aluminum, which Trump justified on national security grounds. The tariffs also raised questions about the future of the rules-based trading system that had been in place since World War II. The Trump administration's willingness to disregard WTO rulings and impose unilateral tariffs signaled a potential shift towards protectionism and away from free trade. Section 7. The consumer impact, rising prices and shifting choices. While the political battles raged, American consumers felt the impact of the tariffs in their wallets. The tariffs led to higher prices for a wide range of goods, from washing machines and solar panels to cars and bicycles. This effectively acted as a tax on American consumers. The tariffs also led to less choice in the marketplace. For example, the tariffs on washing machines made it more expensive for American consumers to buy energy-efficient models from South Korea or China. This limited consumer choice and potentially slowed the adoption of more environmentally friendly appliances. The tariffs also had a ripple effect on the service sector. As consumers had less disposable income due to higher prices, they cut back on spending in areas like dining out, entertainment, and travel. This had a negative impact on businesses in these sectors. The full impact of the tariffs on consumer behavior is still being studied. However, it is clear that the tariffs led to higher prices, reduced choices, and a shift in spending patterns for many American consumers. Section 8. The global chessboard, trade wars and shifting alliances. The Trump tariffs had a profound impact on the global trading system. The tariffs sparked trade tensions not only with China but also with allies like Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. This led to a period of uncertainty and volatility in global markets. The tariffs also accelerated the trend of deglobalization. Companies facing uncertainty and higher costs due to the tariffs began to reevaluate their supply chains. Some companies moved their production out of China to other countries, such as Vietnam or Mexico, to avoid the tariffs. The tariffs also gave China an opportunity to strengthen its relationships with other countries. As the US retreated from the global stage, China stepped in to fill the void. This was particularly evident in China's growing influence in Africa and Latin America. The long-term consequences of these shifts in the global trading system remain to be seen. However, it is clear that the Trump tariffs had a significant impact on the way countries interact and trade with each other. Section 9. The road ahead, uncertainty and the future of trade. As of today, May 16, 2025, the future of the Trump tariffs remains uncertain. While the Biden administration has expressed a willingness to engage in dialogue with China, it is unclear whether it will roll back the tariffs imposed by the previous administration. The tariffs have had a lasting impact on the global trading system. They have contributed to uncertainty, volatility, and a shift towards protectionism. It remains to be seen whether the global economy will return to the era of free trade that characterized the post-World War II period. The tariffs have also highlighted the need for a more equitable and sustainable global trading system. The current system, which often favors developed countries, has contributed to inequality and environmental degradation. The challenge for policymakers going forward is to create a trading system that works for everyone. The Trump tariffs have been a defining feature of the global economy in recent years. Their impact will continue to be felt for years to come. The future of global trade will depend on the choices that policymakers make in the months and years ahead.